Appetite from Prefab Sprout, from the album Steve McQueen, of course. That was then, this is now. Paddy McAloon from the group, welcome to the studios.
Thank you, Simon.
Nice to see you. Looking a bit different now, the moustache is gone, the hair's a bit longer.
That's right, yeah, a lot happens in 3 years.
How do you feel looking back on old clips like that?
Well, it's very strange. A lot of things you don't actually remember. Not even I'm not talking about the filming of the videos, but the things you've put on the record, because obviously you try and move on and write some new things, and you have to, part of you has to forget what you've done before. But I didn't realise I'd blocked out so many things.
Well, you've got a new album out now called From Langley Park to Memphis. Langley Park, where's that?
It's a small village in County Durham, which is where I come from, in the north of England. It has a more musical name than the actual village I come from, which is Witton Gilbert. This Langley Park, I'm cheating a bit because Langley Park is next to it, and it's a line from one of my songs.
Okay, not exactly a place with similar traditions to Memphis, I guess, with Elvis Presley and the blues and all that.
That is the point. I was writing a verse in a song that's the idea is a little bit like the other man's grass is always greener, and wherever you come from, you look abroad for the answer and think, well, life is going on in a more exotic place over there. And Memphis, to someone from County Durham or from any small town, I suppose, in Europe, is synonymous with Elvis Presley and excitement, and it's a mysterious land. And
so it's about your journey, basically.
Well, yeah, it's kind of looking away and thinking, oh, that's where the action is, when in fact you find out that you, wherever you're from, and wherever you go to, you take yourself with you. You always think that, you know, if you went somewhere else, your life would be so much better, but you carry yourself around with you and you forget that. So I wanted to put that in the song. It's not as if I feel I belong anywhere else. I'm still very much someone who likes and lives in the north of England.
Which is unusual, because so many people move down south to London for the bright lights and so on.
Yes. I suppose a lot of it's practicality and the option to do any kind of work in the entertainment's world. It just isn't there outside of London or outside of capital cities in general. So I'm very lucky being able to write at home and then move away for other things. But I like living there.
Great, I think it's a very healthy outlook. The album is, of course, new. A lot of people won't have heard it yet, but one track a lot of them will know is the new single, Cars and Girls, or the last single, because it's kind of peaked just outside the British charts, which is a bit of a shame. But we understand it's a Bruce Springsteen pastiche. Why did you decide to perhaps take the mickey out of Bruce?
Well, there are two reasons. One is, and it's one that you easily forget. You know, I'm the sort of bloke who gives 1,000 reasons and highfalutin discussions of why he's written songs. Part of it is, when you write a song, you sometimes come up with good lines. And one day I picked up a guitar and I actually came out, subconsciously came out with Brucey Dreams' Life's a Highway, just off the top of my head. And that was a clue to me. I thought, well, there's only one kind of song you can write from a line like that, because you've got very specific, you've named a name. I thought it would be good to do something in the style of Bruce Springsteen, but to be perhaps less glamorous with the road images than he is, because his songs, you know, the road is a very romantic image, the highways jammed with broken heroes, all that business. So I wanted to do one that only someone really from Durham in England could write. So I had people being car sick in my song, and the highway not passing past my door, which it doesn't do.
Right.
So it was having a bit of fun, really.
All right, let's take a look at that one now. This is Prefab Sprout, as I say, the last single. There's more to life than cars and girls. Yep, some things hurt much more than cars and girls. Not many, but a few anyway. Paddy McAloon from Prefab Sprout in the studios with me. It seems to me that on the album, in places, you're perhaps having a go at some of the oversimplified postures and language used by rock in that song, and also King of Rock and Roll.
Yeah, that's the one point I omitted in my summing up of Cars and Girls. That there are certain stock attitudes that people foist on you with pop music, the cars and girls and the glamour, blah, 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 blah. And it's food for thought for me as a fan, having bought records for years and years. I don't think there's any point in pretending that there's some honoured tradition that need never be questioned in pop music. And I like to have a little bit of a go at things and to bring them to people's attention. I know people think about it anyway. You know, the man on the street now has his own idea about what you should release as singles. how image works, whereas I think 20 years ago that probably wasn't true. So people in general are more interested in the subject of pop music, and I like to write about that.
And of course you do cut across those parameters as a group, and I think people perhaps find it very, very difficult to kind of pigeonhole you if that's like what's required, to the point where your album sells so very well, but you tend to struggle with your singles a bit, which must be a great source of disappointment.
It infuriates me. It's not that album sales are no compensation, because we would be in a terrible position, as a lot of bands are, and if we sold a lot of singles and nobody wanted to buy an album, we would trying to struggle through life would be very hard. We are the other way around. We do very well with albums, but I love singles. I love them. And I've always personally rated those groups that have had hit singles as well as albums, so it's a failing to me if you don't have both. You're lacking something.
Some people, of course, could accuse you of digging your own grave in that some of your press statements have been quite provocative. You've said that you consider yourself to be one of the best songwriters in the world, for example. How much of that is purely self-belief and how much of it is just trying to sort of grab the headlines?
Well, I don't think I'm really very good at grabbing headlines. I come out with those sort of statements and then immediately back up. I can give you examples where if you came to me and said that you didn't really rate me, then I would probably, metaphorically speaking, go for your throat by saying I was a genius. But if you said to me, you're possibly the best songwriter I've ever heard, then I would say, oh, no, and I would list you the people I like. I suppose it's a psychological defense mechanism that you say one thing to me, I feel as though I've got to balance it out. Now, those statements about being the best songwriter in the world, I did say that because, this will sound terrible, because in 1985, I felt that nobody made a better record than us. And this is so hard to explain. I don't say it because I think I'm brilliant. I just felt that, hey, I liked Steve McQueen as a fan. It was as much to do with Thomas Dolby as it was to do with me. I got that finished record and thought, dear God, how did it end up sounding so good? That was my honest thought. But I wish I could grab headlines. You know, I'm just not of that. Just don't have that kind of. I hate promoting myself like that. That was just a random thing of, maybe somebody said to me, you know, you're a funny kind of band, and I go, hey, what do you mean we're a funny band? We're brilliant or something.
Perhaps taken out of context slightly as well.
A little bit, yes, since then, yeah.
Okay, well, we were mentioning Steve McQueen. That was Prefab Sprout's last album before the present one. Let's take a look at a track from it now. This one's called John. Flashing array of hairstyles over the past 20 minutes or so. Paddy McAloon from Prefab Sprout still with me there when Love Breaks Down. You quite spoilt that touching moment when it felt like you were shedding a tear there, Paddy. What happened?
Maybe share that with everyone that, for that beautiful windswept Prefab Sprout look. They took bags of dirty leaves from Hyde Park and stuck them in front of a wind machine and blew them at me. So when you see me doing all this business, I'm trying to get them to turn the machines off.
You weren't crying at all?
I wasn't crying at all, no.
I was interested to read somewhere that you feel that perhaps your songwriting tradition owes more to people like Stephen Sondheim, Gershwin, maybe more than...
That's an extremely flattering kind of assessment by anyone. I like those people. I would never even say I was in their tradition because they are real songwriters. But I like them. What I like about them is the fact that, well, in two instances with Gershwin, it was just a God-given melodic talent that you don't hear anywhere else, or very rarely hear. And with Sondheim, a sense of adventure that you generally don't hear anywhere at all. I know rock music is famed for being adventurous and avant-garde, but it's kid stuff compared to what he does. And I'm, no false modesty, I'm simply not within a billion light years of that league. I know it, you know, I know it, but I love what they do.
And you aspire to it?
Oh yeah, sure, it's something to look to. But on the one hand, you've got something you're born with, that melodic talent. You know, there are lots of people who write good songs and you can move people, but that sense of time after time, coming up with tunes, I'm not talking about words, I'm just talking about melodies. That's something that's intangible. You don't know how it happens. And some people have got it. It's as simple as that.
What about contemporary likes? Because the last time we spoke, you were really into Prince.
Yeah, I'm still into Prince. I'm not an unreserved fan of anyone in particular, but when I hear certain golden moments, I think, well, that'll do for me, and I don't mind if they don't do other brilliant things. He's one of those guys. I tend to listen to a lot of old things, I've tried to figure out why it is. I think it may have something to do with the fact that when I was just a fan and I wasn't making records, I could allow myself the unadulterated pleasure of just listening to things and liking it without feeling a sense of competition. And I think maybe now, if I sit down and listen to things, I think one of two thoughts. One, I should either run off and write a song myself if I think that that's good, or two, oh God, I'm in the same game as them, and for similar thing, I should go and try and compete, which isn't very nice. But I have broad taste, and it would be unfair to name particular things, but I tend to like things before I start making records.
I know you're off to America very soon, and that a tour might be in the offing. You're sort of weighing that up at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you feel very dubious about your lifestyle then? You know, live playing, I mean.
I'm dubious about the what you have to show for it at the end of it. I mean, there might be about 1 billion cynics out there who would say that, well, you could have a lot of money to show for it at the end of a tour, but what you never have is a bunch of songs. And from a point of view of my own ego and vanity and ambition, I'd much rather have a big bunch of songs that I can make records with than a bag of money, because I think that your reputation lies on what you make. Tours never give you that. It's lovely for meeting fans. Yeah. It's lovely to visit places, even though you see little of them, as you will know. Yeah. But touring for Prefab Sprout, I don't think is the answer. No,
I've seen you on numerous occasions, and it doesn't quite live up to the recorded product.
It's a different thing, you know. To try and be like the recorded product would be very difficult. You've got to go for something else. The live thing of you're all in a room together having a good time,
capturing the moment and all that.
Yes.
Paddy, sadly our time has run out. Good luck with the new LP from Langley Park to Memphis, and I'm sure that Cars and Girls will be a hit in a few months. That's even right. If it isn't now. So
5th time probably. Simon.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks again.
All the best. All right, Stevie Wonder is next.